please call the roll?
John Donovan. Michael Hurley.
Here.
Jay Lipp. Gaylord Meyer. Eric Sundman. Pete Ambrose. Catherine Burstein. Nathaniel Schindler. Jeff Steele.
Yes.
Keith Varian. Ed Bateson.
Here.
Laura Devlin. Hank Ferentz.
Here.
Dave McKenzie.
Here.
Mary McCullough. Heather Dean. Joe DiMartino. Bill Gerber. Joe Palmer.
Here.
Cindy Waldron. Josh Garskoff. Lauren O'Brien. Andrew Semmel. Ruth Smay. Carol Way. Julie Gottlieb. Alan Marks.
Here.
Sheila Marmion. Jay Wolk.
Here.
Liz Ezema. Jen Hochberg. Kevin Hopkins. Eric Newman.
Here.
Phil Pierce.
Here.
Hal Schwartz.
Here.
Kathy Braun. Alex Durrell.
Here.
Jason Lee. Tom McCarthy.
Here.
Jeff Milaranyo. Pamela Iacono.
Here.
Ellen Jacob. Lori McCardle. Carol Pontrelli. Chris Timniak. Brian Caffarelli. Brian Farnan. Ray Newberger. Bill Perugini. Bruce Ryan.
Here.
This evening, I would like Laura Devlin, our current RTM member, to come and join me at the podium as the state representative-elect. She will be leaving us, and I would like for her to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And then immediately following that, could we please have a moment of silence? And during this holiday season, could we please keep all of our troops that are overseas in our thoughts? Thank you very much, Ms. Devlin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Selectman McCarthy Vahey has asked for a quick, brief moment of personal privilege.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. And like State Rep-elect Devlin, I will be leaving this body after serving since 2005. And at risk of getting in a lot of trouble with my second grader, I brought a little visual aid. In their second grade class, they learned about towns and communities earlier this year. And this is a suburban community. It has homes, it has the fire station, and he named it Boringville. And his teacher actually asked him to change the name, so he changed it to Okayville. And I said to him, "Why are you naming it that?" And he said, "Because there are no people in it." And this body and this town is amazing because of the people, because of all of you. And the people who I have had the opportunity to serve with as an RTM member have been amazing. And you make this town great and wonderfulville. So thank you.
And I see that State Senator-elect is in the audience as well, Tony Wong. We recognized you last time, but you were out of the room, so thank you and congratulations to you as well. The next item is to consider and act upon the minutes of the regular meeting held on November 24th, 2014. May I have a motion to approve? Representative McCullough, second. Representative Dean. The town clerk is informing that there is a small typo that she has made a correction on. So I'm hoping we can just accept that as a friendly consideration. Yes, it was Jeff Steele being moderator. Jeff Steele was not elected moderator, in case anybody. I know that might have been wishful thinking on many people's part, but you're stuck with me for right now. Is there any discussion on that minor issue? Seriously, you have a question? All right, all in favor of approving the minutes as corrected by the town clerk, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Abstentions? Representative Schindler. Item passes. Next item on the agenda is to hear, consider, and act upon the following reappointment to the Employees Retirement Board as recommended by the First Selectman. Jeffrey G. Mullen, Republican, 2739 Bronson Road, term November 2014 to 2019. Is Mr. Mullen present this evening? Yes. Would you please come forward? I don't think you were able to come to the committee meetings, and maybe just briefly tell us why you would like to be reappointed. The mic, oh, here's the mic.
It's on.
Don't hit your head on the TV. We're low on workers' comp.
Thanks. This would be my third term on the board. I was on the Police and Fire Board several years ago, moved over to the General Employees Board for the last term, and I've been working with public pension plans for the last 32 years as my day job, and I thought I could help the town with the finance and investment issues that confront the town today. So I'm happy to volunteer my time and effort. The board has been terrific, and the plans are in good shape, and I'd like to keep it that way.
Thank you very much. May I have a motion to approve? Moved by Representative DiMartino, seconded by Representative Ryan. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Mullen? Seeing none, would anyone from the public like to speak? Back to the body. All in favor of Mr. Mullen, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Abstentions? Congratulations. Thank you for your service. Item number 4, to hear, consider, and act upon the following reappointment to the Greater Bridgeport Transit Authority as recommended by the Board of Selectmen. Mitchell Fuchs, Democrat, 202 Melody Lane, term November 2014 to 2018. Is Mr. Fuchs here this evening? He's not. May I have a motion to approve? Moved by Representative DiMartino, seconded by Representative Way. Is there any discussion on this item? Any discussion from the public? All in favor of Mr. Fuchs, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Representative Jacob, Representative Caffarelli, Representative Walk. Motion passes. Yes, sure.
Thank you. And just because it's appropriate at this juncture, we need another volunteer to serve on this board, and the volunteer needs to be either a Republican or unaffiliated. So if you know anybody who'd like to help on this board, please contact my office. Thank you.
Item number 5, to hear, consider, and act upon the following reappointment to the Solid Waste and Recycling Commission as recommended by the Board of Selectmen. Robert M. Stilson, Republican, 103 Orchard Hill Drive, term November 2014 to 2018. Mr. Stilson was present at committee meetings. May I have a motion to approve? Moved by Representative Hochberg, seconded by Representative Dean. Any discussion? Any comment from the public? Back to the body. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Item passes. To hear, consider, and act upon the following appointments to the Solid Waste and Recycling Commission as recommended by the Board of Selectmen. Charles P. McDonald, Jr., unaffiliated, 320 Old Mill Road, term November 2012 to 2016. Patty A. Palmer, unaffiliated, 357 South Street, term November 2014 to 2018. Anthony Santacapita, unaffiliated, 43 Lakeview Place, term November 14th to, November 2014 to 2018. May I have a motion to approve? Moved by Representative McCarthy, seconded by Representative Schwartz. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, any comment from the public? Back to the body. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Item passes. Item number 7, to consider and act upon the following resolution recommended by the Board of Education. Resolved that in accordance with the Connecticut General State Statute 10-53B, the collective bargaining agreement between the Board of Education and the Fairfield School Administrators Association for the period of July 1st, 2015 through June 30th, 2018 is rejected. Motion moved by Representative Hurley, seconded by Representative Marks. Thank you. I don't know why you get a brain freeze when you stand up here. Is there any discussion from the body? Representative Timniak. And just so you know, I'm getting everybody nameplates, even though I know who all of you are.
Hello. There we go. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, board. So, again, we have a teacher's Board of Education contract. Today we have the Board of Education contract for the Teachers Administration. We asked some pretty good questions at the Wednesday night subcommittee meeting. I got some good follow-up answers from Ann. I spoke to Ann as well, and I thank you guys for all your work into that. After crunching all the numbers and getting everything in, I'm actually going to vote against this contract, not for any reason for the teachers administration, the teachers administrators themselves, but because the general sense, the overall deal of where the town is settling on this, I'm not happy with. I think we could have done better as a town. I think we can do a better job sort of keeping up to date with the times and where contracts, Board of Education contracts are going statewide. Again, this is a contract which we're getting, which is just one option. It's a PPO plan. I would have liked to see an HSA plan come in. I still have some outstanding questions. I'm not quite sure who to address them to. Is Phil Dwyer here tonight?
Is there a representative from the Board of Education here? Well, can you direct them through the legal department, or
Sure.
would you like, okay.
Yeah. Is this the same health? Well, I
One
guess this,
second. Attorney Cedar, can you please come to the mic and just introduce yourself for the record?
and I'll take someone from Aon, I guess, as well. if I can
There's
do it.
somebody from Aon that could speak to some of the questions. And if you
This
would,
is Stephen Cedar from Durant Nichols on behalf of the Board of Education, and here from Aon is Eric Fiedler.
thank you.
So we hear often about our Anglic rating. We're 18th in the state, which means we're a wealthy community. We all know that. Well, something we hear is that, you know, we can't afford to send something to arbitration because of our Anglic rating. We can afford it. We should be cognizant of that, and we should basically accept the contract which has been negotiated as we're having it. A couple questions I have. Is this the same health care plan which is given to the teachers?
Yes, it is.
All right, so is this the same health care plan which is going to be given to the rest of the Board of Education bargaining units?
I don't think we can make that determination at this time since those contracts haven't come up for a negotiation.
Okay, so today we're basically examining a health care plan, like I said, which is the same plan we approved for the teachers. The teachers aren't the administrators. This is a bargaining unit of 38 employees who, you know, all deserve their money, earn their money, but it's a large sum. It's $5.6 million divided by 38 employees. Again, that goes to my general thought that the teachers make far less money, and although they are contributing a lot of money, I think that this is a great opportunity for the town to come forward and basically offer a lesser plan. Millions of Americans, thousands of Connecticut residents' health care plans have changed this year through no fault of their own, through government's fault, whether it's the American Health Care Act or plans not being offered, which were currently offered. We're offering the exact same plan, according to my questions I asked at the Wednesday night meeting, as they received 3 years ago. The only thing which has changed is copays, which I appreciate that the copay number has gone up, but at the end of the day, the first year savings, if the numbers are correct, and I was looking at the ones which were sent today, the first year savings for the town is $30,000. The second year savings is $43,000, third year is $56,000. It's sort of my opinion, well, this is the question I'd ask the Board of Education. When you started the negotiations, I'm assuming you started sometime in the summertime, is that correct?
No, we started in the fall in September.
So when you started in the fall, was there an outline or a projection of where you wanted to be as the Board of Education and what you wanted to get out of this contract?
Yes, when we were considering the changes to insurance, where we were looking for, as we understood the direction from the Board of Finance, was to get a insurance plan that would overall save the Board of Education money. When we did the calculations, we have, with this particular contract and the PPO plan that's in place, a total cost mitigation of $130,000 over the life of the contract. However, with respect to a high deductible health plan, anyone that could be either negotiated or across the table or could be reasonably awarded an interest arbitration simply does not save that money. The savings simply aren't there for the high deductible health plan. So I hope that answers the question as to where we were and why we came to what it is we came to.
So, I mean, he used a nice word there, negotiated, meaning we couldn't negotiate an HSA plan. It wasn't in the code. We couldn't negotiate one which was affordable. Again, I want to go back to the constituents and the people who I knock on their doors. I don't remember the residents of Fairfield and the state of Connecticut being given options about negotiating or having their plans changed from underneath them. I think if there's a time in Connecticut, now would be a time to actually change the plan as an entirety. Now is a time when we can fit in the government side of healthcare plans and what we offer our employees with what the rest of the state of Connecticut is feeling. And again, it's not against the teachers administration. It's basically what we're seeing as a population as an entirety. I have a couple other questions I want to go into. It was brought to my attention that we haven't set a Board of Education contract arbitration since the 1990s. I don't know if you looked into that, Attorney Houston, any further, but do you have the exact year the last time we sent a BOE contract?
Early 90s.
All right. So early 90s. This is early 90s. We haven't sent a Board of Education contract to arbitration. So meaning we've negotiated every deal. The Board of RTM has basically endorsed those contracts for over 20 years, around 20 years, give or take. Again, I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm saying if we want to have an adjustment and we want to really determine what the Board of what the arbitrators are saying and what where Fairfield actually stands when we go in front of an arbitrator and the case we can make, we're not exactly sure what case that is anymore because it's been since the early 1990s. I don't know if that's a fair point to make or not, Don.
I don't think it is.
Okay. And again, that could be just a difference of opinion or not. My sense is that although we are the 18th Anglic rating town, I believe that there is a good case for that very thing.
Were you asking me to respond to that, or were you looking
Oh,
to make a point?
well, I thought I got the response from Attorney Houston, but if you want to add something, please do. Yeah.
The only point I would like to make about that is it not being a fair point is that when you go to interest arbitration, a couple of things are to keep in mind. Number one is that the arbitrators will be looking at comparisons which would include what are the settlements that are coming in around the state. And as we discussed in the committee meetings, the settlement on wages is within those settlements that are coming in around the state. The other point I would like to make is that at interest arbitration, if it goes to interest arbitration, all agreements are off the table and all old proposals are back on the table. And so if the if different wage proposals are made, the union nor the town are bound by the wage proposals that are in this agreement. And so the arbitrators are not going to establish a middle ground. The arbitrators are going to select between the wages proposed by one side or the other. And that is not going to be a middle ground that's going to be selected. That's the only point I wanted to make. I'm sorry if I interrupted you. I couldn't tell if you were asking me to respond.
I appreciate the response, and it's a fair response, it is. But then I think it puts the ball back in our court as an RTM. When we did the teacher's contract 3 weeks ago, I don't think any of us were under the same assumption that we'd be starting an effect of which all of the contracts we get from the Board of Education could potentially be the same health care plan. So if we approved the teachers first and it was the highest mark we have, did we know that as a body when we made that decision? And again, it's early to go ahead and make that assumption because, as he said, there's still negotiations on the other. But they did, on Friday, send us a supplemental document which basically broke down all of the healthcare projections for the Board of Education. So when I looked at this, my assumption was that they're all factored into this in some sort of stable way. Is that correct?
Yes, everything is factored into that, so not only the administrators and the teachers, but everybody else covered by the Board of Ed is factored into that.
Okay, so were the same healthcare assumptions made for everybody when you put this in here?
Similar assumptions were made except for when you take the plan design decrements that were negotiated on part of the teachers and the administrators, those were weighted in because the other plan designs that are currently in place won't change, so you can't reduce those plan designs.
I guess I'll close with this. I've looked at these contracts. It takes time, and we have to rely on the information we get. And I mean, obviously, we have a professional firm with us. We have attorneys who are negotiating on behalf of the city, so I do respect that. I just feel like, as a whole, I think we could have done a better job, especially with the health care plan, especially when we think about the millions of Americans right now who are suffering to try to find health care, trying to figure out the ACA. Connecticut residents, I just came from a health care summit in New Haven this evening at the Cornell Center, where I heard, passionate pleas about people who are trying to navigate their way through. I think if there's ever a time of which we as a body or as a town should have turned around and basically demanded to put a line in the sand, and I hate using that term, but to take a lesser plan. I mean, I appreciate the high copays, but when we think about the taxpayers and the residents and the people we knock on the doors, we have to think about it as basically, we are giving authority to make sure that we have a Cadillac taxable plan in place, which is exactly what it says. It's the Cadillac tax in place. So I ask you to consider your vote carefully on this one tonight. Thank you.
Representative Donovan.
Thank you, John Donovan, District 1. Looking at the minutes from last meeting with the teacher's contract, Chairman Dwyer stated the increase is 1.7% a year. It was again Attorney Houston explaining 1.7% increase net. You look at this, it's roughly double that. It's a salary base of $140,000. Goes up to $155,000. It's a $15,000 increase.
Excuse me, Representative Donovan, can you just tell the body what paper you're referring to? So they know
The
what you're
minutes
looking
that we
from?
looked at previously, so the minutes we just approved, and I don't know what this is. This is the numbers that we got related to the contract. So this looks at the 2012-13 at $138,000 per employee in this union. Going out to 2017-18 projected $153,000. So just looking from the standpoint of this is not as rich a deal as the teachers, gosh, if we believe the numbers we're told, it certainly looks like it's double as rich. And it just doesn't seem that we can afford that. I have no questions, just a comment. I'll be voting no. Thank you.
Attorney Houston, did you want to address that point?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Mr. Donovan was quoting from the minutes. He referenced Mr. Dwyer's statement. I believe Mr. Dwyer was speaking to the overall budget. I was speaking to the impact of the insurance mitigation to the $7 million amount of the salaries. So we're talking about two different things.
Representative Donovan?
What did the budget increase during that time?
I don't understand your question.
And we had that problem also in subcommittee. What we're trying to understand is when we look at the budget, what does it actually go up every year? And when we've asked that question, the answer that we got was 1.7%. I'm trying to understand, as we look at the budget, and the question that Representative Lipp asked very clearly at the last meeting was, we have a budget coming up in May. As we look at that budget, we have to rely back on the numbers that are being told to us. And the number that we were told was 1.7%. What number are you talking about?
I was talking about the mitigation of the insurance cost increase, which I expressed as $3.1 million of mitigation against the $7 million of projected salary increases, for a net increase to the salary of $3.9 million. If you divide that number by 75.7 million, which is your current salary account, you come out with a percentage of 5.1 or 5.2. If you divide that by 3, reflecting a 3-year deal, that comes out to 1.7%. It may be a coincidence that the two numbers are the same, but I believe Mr. Dwyer was talking about a different number than I was.
Okay, you're only clarifying your number.
Correct.
Great. The only number I'm referring to is the total budget as being represented by the chairman of the Board of Education, increasing on average 1.7% a year for the teachers' union. The union that is in front of us for the administrators' union is increasing at 2.9% a year. When you look at the healthcare costs, the administrators' union, which I guess is supposed to be the same as the teachers' union, is increasing by 5%. When you actually looked at that same number for the teachers' union, I'm going by memory here, I believe it was 0.8%. So I'm still at a loss for how it's the same health care plan. But again, I'm not really looking to get into details because I really can't understand them half the time without being able to study them. So I can only go by the numbers that we're looking at. And what I can see is the teachers are going up 1.7% a year, if I believe the numbers that I'm told, and this one is 2.9% a year. And that seems like almost double. Thank you.
Are there any other representatives that wish to speak to this item? Representative Caffarelli, and then Representative McKenzie.
Thank you, Madam Moderator, and congratulations. I'll be brief. I appreciate that everything that the educators and the administrators do, but I have to tell you, I'm looking at this, and to piggyback on what Chris was saying, when I knock on doors, people are asking me, how are you going to save money? And I can't come to them and say, you know, look, with the 38-person bargaining unit, an average of $141,000 a year, and they're worried about all sorts of health increases, the benefits, that we're not tweaking it enough. I really don't think that we've come to the table and sharpened the pencil. I think we should go back and do it. And I think we should reject this.
Thank you. Representative McKenzie.
David McKenzie, District 3. I was just looking at the meetings. I'm sorry I didn't read it before, but I thought Representative Gottlieb had specifically asked the question. Is she here tonight? Yeah. Which was, what is the net on the teacher's contract? And the answer was 1.7%. I didn't see that in the meetings, but in the meeting minutes. So I think that's an important point, and I think the point that Representative Donovan was making. I have to vote against this also because I look at, first of all, this is the high-paid area. inflation's around 1.6 or 1.7%. We have increases 2.7% going up over 3 years. Well, who wouldn't like that? Guaranteed at the high end. To me, it's rich, unnecessarily rich. Second point is that in 2018, medical and dental, as a percent of total compensation, goes up from 10% at the beginning to 11%. Now, we know we have this Cadillac tax in the wings, but we haven't done anything to skinny down the medical piece of it, so we're kicking the can down the road, and I guess we're just hoping that we'll figure out something come 2018. I don't think that's a responsible way to be a steward of taxpayer dollars with fingers crossed going into 2018. So for that reason, where I think we're too rich on the compensation side, I think we are kicking the can down the road on the medical side. I have to vote no, or I have to vote yes against the rejection. Or
Yes. If you are not in favor of this contract, then you need to vote yes to reject it.
I will be voting yes.
I will have the attorneys go over that language again just before we vote. Representative Hurley and then Representative Marmion.
Michael Hurley, RTM District 1. I guess I came here tonight thinking I was going to support the contract, and I'm still, now I think I'm on the fence. Just going forward, I guess, through you, Madam Moderator, when a BOE contract is up for a vote, if we could have a member of the BOE present, this way they could answer any questions, I think it would be helpful, because I think Representative Donovan made some good points, and you know, some of the information is just muddled for me now. So, thank you.
Duly noted. Representative Marmion, and then Representative Hopkins.
Sheila Marmion, District 6. I'm concerned that we're talking about defeating this contract. Arbitration could bite us in the butt, literally, from an expense standpoint. It could cost this town a lot of money, and in the end, we could get a deal for administrators that is much more costly to the town. That is a real risk for us. And I understand that we want to make a point. I understand that we're concerned with the costs related to this contract, but this is not the way to send that message. This is very bad. It has very bad cost implications for us. Secondly, we are making progress with this contract. It may not be as fast as you'd like it, but it is progress in the right direction, in that the costs, the salary increases, are actually lower, from what I heard at committee meetings, than what other towns are negotiating. In addition, we are asking the administrators to take on more of the health care costs than ever before. And again, to me, that's progress. It may not be as fast as some of us would like to see, but it is real progress, and it translates into real significant savings for the town. So please, I urge you to support this contract. Thank you.
Kevin Hopkins, District 7. Through you, Madam Moderator, I'd like to ask a question of the gentleman from Aon. Could you come up, please? For people who are here, our guests, and people watching on Fairfield TV, would you mind explaining what Aon is and what your role has been in the negotiations?
Yeah. We are a human resource consulting firm in the industry, one of the largest in the industry, and our role is specifically on employee benefits, doing cost proposals, RFPs with different carriers, and providing strategic guidance to both the Board of Education and the town of Fairfield.
All right. Well, thank you. But my main question is going to be, I think, to you. When it came to comparing a HSA plan, a potential to have this group go to an HSA plan versus the PPO that you're giving it, did it work out that the PPO would be cheaper than having an HSA plan?
That's correct, it did.
Well, thank you very much for that. The point I want to make, ladies and gentlemen, is that the reason why we vote for this is because this is cheaper. This is how we save our town money. This is how we keep our taxes from going up, by voting for the cheaper plan. By trying to go for something that some people are telling us is cheaper but is not actually cheaper would be a huge mistake. Right now, we want to go with this plan because this is going to save our town money, and this is the way we're going to be able to get the best deal on taxes for our taxpayers. So I hope you all will vote in favor of this contract. Thank you.
Representative Meyer.
Gaylord Meyer, District 1. Last fall, when I was knocking on doors to get reelected, there wasn't one constituent in District 1 that said, hey, it's okay, give everybody an increase. Hey, you know, we're happy with our taxes. Hey, we're happy with the fact that our town is edging on $28 million worth of debt. Do we all deserve a raise? Absolutely. But not when you're going to drive this town further and further into debt. We all have our opinions of what is right and what's wrong, but I have to listen to my constituents. And every one of them asked me to hold the line, to seek fiscal responsibility, to stop the increase in taxes, and please, God, stop the debt. I will not be supporting this tonight. Thank you.
Any other members who wish to address this? And then the First Selectman would like to make a clarifying point first. Representative Melaragno, I'm going to just let the First Selectman wanted to clarify a statement.
Just to be absolutely clear, the town finished with a surplus last year. We're not $28 million in debt. So I just wanted to clarify that point. No, we finished with a surplus. We finished in the black. So thank you.
Representative Melaragno.
Jeff Melaragno, District 6, or 8, I'm sorry. Been a while. I apologize, I have a bit of a cold, so I apologize for my voice. Just a bit of clarification on the HSA question. The HSA plan that was palatable to the union would not be cheaper than the PPO. Is that correct? It's not that there isn't an HSA plan that exists that would be cheaper than the agreed-upon PPO.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Representative Jacob. Are there any other members after Representative Jacob that would like to speak to this issue? Okay, thank you.
Ellen Jacob, District 9. I just, First Selectman Tetro, I think Gaylord Meyer was referring to the debt service, which is approaching, it's somewhere between 26 and 28 million. Is that right?
As long as you add that very important word service after the word debt, the annual expense is somewhere in the 26 to 28 million. Yes.
Thank you. And the other concern I have, because these contracts aren't being presented in a vacuum here, we do have to look at the whole picture. We do have a huge capital program coming in from the Board of Ed this year. We have 2 large school projects, and they're kicking in this year. They're multiple millions of dollars. So we can't just say, this is happening here and that's happening there. We have to look at the whole picture. I said last month, I didn't think we could afford the teacher contract. I think it's another contract we can't afford. Thank you.
Representative McCarthy, and then Representative Marks.
Tom McCarthy, District 8. Just 2 quick questions for the gentleman from Mayon. If I read this correctly, let me preface this. Sheila Marmion, Representative Marmion, made some valid points that entering into arbitration is not something we would take lightly. But also, relative to the savings of this plan, am I correct that $31,000 is the savings?
Correct.
Okay. So I'm not sure that I would, for me, 31,000 meets the definition of material. Let me ask you one other question, and you don't have to be exact on this. In terms of the richness of this plan relative to most plans in the private sector, on an order of magnitude, what is this plan? Magnitude?
Speak into the mic, please.
Twice as rich?
I don't know that I can really answer that question, to be honest with you.
You can cut it with a chainsaw. You don't have to cut it with a
Yeah,
scalpel here.
In the private sector, yeah, there are no bargaining units, there's no labor negotiations, and for any of us that work in the private sector, you know that you do have much higher deductibles.
All right. Thank you.
Representative Marks.
Can I clarify one thing really quick? Excuse me, I'm
Certainly.
sorry. The $30,000 figure that you referenced for the savings was the savings for year one. The total cost mitigation for the insurance over the life of the contract is $130,000.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Alan Marks, District 6. I'm going to support this contract. I think we need to look at this as an entire package. The employees, the administrators have given back in areas. The negotiators have done what we've asked them to do in terms of givebacks. We have, after this, we've got the highest premium cost sharing in Fairfield County. And yes, this is a highly or higher paid group of employees, the administrators. But we also have to look at what we're getting for that. These are hardworking people. We have an excellent school system. These people work for their money. They work very hard. So I don't think that we should hold that against them. I think overall, I'm going to say the same thing I said last month, which is I believe that this contract was negotiated well on our behalf by people who did what we asked them to do. So I'm going to support this and ask you to do the same.
Representative Waldron.
Cindy Waldron, District 4. Oops. I also wanted to clarify something, that the administrators are not exactly the same as the teachers' units. They actually operate on a 12-month salary scale, so it's a little different. They work, am I correct in this? It's a little bit different, right? I'm sorry, can I have them
Yes, sure.
clarify that?
Through the moderator to the
Thank
attorneys,
you.
yes. You'd like them to address the work
Well,
schedule?
No, I just want to make sure I'm correct. So we're looking at, okay, sorry.
The member is correct. Teachers work on a 10 or a 10-and-a-half-month year. Every administrator in the administrator's bargaining unit works a full 12-month year.
And I personally see many of our administrators at the schools, they're way before the teachers, and they leave very late, and they're always helping various students in the schools. So I want to support this. I will support this. I think it's a fair contract. Thank you.
Are there any other members who have not addressed the body that would like to do so now? Representative Hurley, and then I'd like to go to the public.
Michael Hurley, RTM District 1. A basic question through you, Madam Moderator, I guess to Ann Leffert. Just to put it in perspective of who these people are, could you just explain sort of who are the administrators? I mean, what are the type of titles? Are they principals? Are they housemasters? Are they, or what are they?
Who are they?
Both of those. They headmasters of the high school, housemasters of the high schools, principals of middle schools and elementary schools, assistant principals of the middle schools, curriculum leaders, special education coordinators, directors of guidance, athletic directors. I think that covers everybody in the bargaining unit.
Thank you.
Representative Hopkins.
Kevin Hopkins, District 7. To Mr. Sutton, I'd like to ask a question through you, Madam Moderator. Were you able to find any towns in Connecticut which had adopted the HSA that were significantly saving money with them? Do you know? Or anybody else who knows?
Let me try to answer the question like this. I did do a comparison of other boards of education in comparative towns, and what I mean by comparative towns are other boards of education that were within a similar wealth ranking, others contiguous to the town, and others in our DRG. What I was able to find that there were no high deductible health plans that were similar to the one which we saw in the beginning, which was referred to as draconian. All of the high deductible health plans sort of had a same basic element to it, and they were beyond what we were proposing. And with respect to whether or not those saved the individual town's money, I can't tell you that because that information wasn't provided. That wasn't in the contracts that were evaluated. Did I answer your question enough?
I guess it sounds like we don't know. All right.
But Steve, Madam Moderator,
Yes.
may I add this? That the high deductible plans that we did see, the vast majority of them, the form of those plans, when applied to our demographic, would not have saved us as much money as the PPO as we negotiated. So if you look at the run-of-the-mill high deductible health plan that is in effect in the state of Connecticut and boards of education, and thus would be the most likely scenario to be adopted if we did go to interest arbitration, was not one that was more cost-effective than the PPO as we revised.
That's correct. That's absolutely correct.
Thank you for that. Sounds like some of the debate that I'm hearing is a comparison of apples to oranges. We cannot compare what our options are with what all the options are out there in the private sector, because we're not the private sector. We've got restrictions of state laws and collective bargaining unit laws. We just don't have that option. We don't have that freedom. We have to go by what are the potential things that we can get. And those potential things that we can get would not have saved us money. Thank you.
Representative O'Brien. And I just want to tell the body that it's 10 of 9. I would like to get to the public.
Lauren O'Brien, District 5. I would implore you all, us all, to be cognizant of the end game. Within the RTM, we're limited what we can and cannot do. Given where we are, the percentage that the administrators currently pick up in comparison to the rest of the state is something that you really have to think about. You're not negotiating this from the beginning. I personally have demonstrated that I'm not afraid to hold the line on spending with education. But with this particular situation, I think you really need to look at what will you potentially gain and what can you potentially lose. And I'm never one to back away from a fight, but what's your goal overall? That's what you really have to think about. When you decide you're going to reject this or you're going to accept it, what is your goal and what do you have to lose? Thank you.
Are there any members of the public that wish to address this item? Please come forward now. Seeing none, this body will move for a vote. Attorney Cedar, Attorney Houston, whichever your pleasure, could you please just clarify again the motion on the table that is before the RTM, because this is, again, like the teacher's contract where it's a little bit different than how we typically vote. So,
Thank you. The motion on the table is a motion to reject this contract. As we've talked about in prior meetings, the contract becomes operative if it is not affirmatively rejected by the legislative body. That's why the motion is phrased that way. So if you wish to support this contract, vote no on the motion. We are asking that you vote no on the motion, and I'd just like to make a few closing remarks, if I may, Madam Moderator.
no, I'm sorry, I just asked for clarification on the motion. Thank you.
We would ask that you vote no. Thank you.
All right, so if you're in favor of the contract, please vote no. If you are against this contract, please vote yes. Will the clerk please do a roll call vote?
John Donovan?
Yes.
Michael Hurley?
Yes.
Jeff Steele?
No.
Ed Bateson?
No.
Laura Devlin?
Yes.
Hank Ferentz?
Yes.
Dave McKenzie?
Yes.
Mary McCullough?
No.
Heather Dean?
No.
Joe DiMartino?
Yes.
Joe Palmer?
No.
Cindy Waldron?
No.
Josh Garskoff?
No.
Lauren O'Brien?
No.
Carol Way?
Yes.
Julie Gottlieb?
No.
Alan Marks?
No.
Sheila Marmion?
No.
Jay Walk?
No.
Liz Zezima?
No.
Jen Hochberg?
No.
Kevin Hopkins?
No.
Eric Newman?
No.
Bill Peters?
No.
Hal Schwartz?
No.
Kathy Braun?
Yes.
Alex Durrell?
No.
Tom McCarthy? Jeff Milaronio?
Yes.
Pamela Iacono?
No.
Ellen Jacob?
Yes.
Laura McCardle?
Yes.
Carol Pontrelli?
Yes.
Chris Timniak?
Yes.
Brian Caffarelli?
Yes.
Brian Farnan?
Yes.
Bill Perugini?
Yes.
Bruce Ryan?
Yes.
Mary McCullough?
There are 21 people voting yes. And 20 people voting no. So there's 41 present. So we do not have a contract, so it's rejected. Betsy, is that right? The contract is rejected. Next item on the agenda is to hear and consider for the first time a Fair TV ordinance sponsored by Sheila H. Marmion, District 6, and Catherine L. Braun, District 8. Will Representatives Braun and Marmion please come forward to address any questions? I just want to let the body know this is only on for a first read this evening. That means this is a discussion item only. We're not voting on anything. There's no amendments being taken. It's just a discussion item.
Good evening, Sheila Marmion, District 6. I'm just going to offer some broad remarks, and then I'll give it to Kathy, and then we'll take some questions, okay? So I'm sponsoring this ordinance as it is designed to provide clear broadcast standards for the town of Fairfield. Importantly, this ordinance establishes a bipartisan commission dedicated to ensuring that Fair TV remains independent in its mission and in its programming. And this programming, as it's written in the ordinance, includes primary programming to cover meetings like this, government meetings like the RTM, and educational meetings, and then secondary programming as well. Fair TV, as you know, is a real gem in this town. We all use it. We're taxpayers. I believe we get a tremendous value out of the money that the town puts forward. However, we do have limited resources, and this ordinance is designed to ensure that we focus on covering the primary and the secondary content. And we'd welcome your questions, your comments as we move forward tonight. Thank you.
Kathy Braun, RTM District 8. I'm going to give a few more details about it to sort of synthesize and consolidate some of the Q&A that we've heard during committee meetings. We've been working on this since May, and before that, the Fair TV committee worked on it for a number of months before that. And the whole purpose of this is to have an independent, permanent commission with clear broadcast standards to ensure it's independent and not influenced politically. So it's our C-SPAN of Fairfield. It widens the room. It also enables access to people that can't attend meetings. And how this is done, again, is by having clear broadcast standards. A number of other towns were looked at and compared. I haven't found any so far that have clear broadcast standards and a truly independent commission that runs the local channel. So this these two channels are the government and the education portion of what they call PEG. The P is the other end of programming that people can do whatever they want, but the government and the education end are supposed to be just covering our bodies, the bodies that are, the public can attend. So the independence is very important, and that's why it was drafted in the manner it was drafted in. It's analogous to the Ethics Commission. The Ethics Commission is also a very independent commission, which is not supposed to be subject to political influence as well. An analogy that chairman of the Fair TV committee gave me was the Ethics Commission is kind of like the umpire of town government. It tells you when you're doing something wrong and what you should be doing right. It gives advisory opinions. It retains its own legal counsel, and it has to be approved by a unanimous selection by the Board of Selectmen, not majority, which means it's less prone to be influenced by political majorities. And so this is similar to that. We've crafted this so that the Board of Selectmen selects commissioners based on unanimous vote, not majority vote, and then the RTM would approve those. And so if the Ethics Commission is the umpire of our town government, you can construe that the Fair TV Commission or the Fair TV channel is like the instant replay, if you're going to draw a sports analogy. It should only be showing what it shows. It should not be influenced by anybody who wants to have political programming or private programming, and that's why the broadcast standards that we've gone through several times at committee are written the way they're written. So I urge you to approve this, and I'm open for any questions anybody has. We also have 2 members of the Fair TV committee here. If you have questions that require technical or historical expertise. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for the sponsors? Representative Jacob.
No questions, but I do want to say to the committee that you've done a great job, and a difficult one too. I feel safe with the ordinance as it's written. I'm not a lawyer, but I do, and I think it's a great service and it's a great tool. So I hope it stays the way it is, and thanks for the work you've all done.
Put your hand up. Representative Walk.
Hello. Where we go. Jay Walk, District 6. I first want to say to the both of you, thank you very much. I know it's not easy, but you both did a great job. I just have something I just want to read to everybody, in my opinion, on this whole issue. It's not personal, so, and just to let you know a little bit about what Fair TV is to our community. There are 24 cable television franchises areas in the state of Connecticut, which were set up under federal law for the purpose of providing local communities with
You guys, can we be quiet in the body, and Jay, Representative Walk, can you speak into the...
Hello. It's on now. All right, let's go back just a couple of words. So it's under federal law for the purpose of providing local communities dedicated to local town government and educated related content. Are we all still hear me? Hello? Use the other mic. I don't think it's louder. I think it's off. It's just not working.
Well, here, come here and speak.
Wow, I'm actually coming up to the podium. My first time at the podium. Here in Fairfield, the Fair TV government channel is Fairfield Government Access Television Station. It is broadcast under the Fairfield and exists for the purpose of providing Fairfield a window in government-related activities to our town. The 24 cable TV franchises in the state of Connecticut operate by means of fairly standard set of policies and procedures. These guidelines ensure that these local TV airwaves are democratically managed for the benefit of the whole community by the local TV commissions in each of the 24 franchise areas. Generally, each local cable TV committee, like Fair TV, also operates under the overarching supervision of the town leaders, such as the selectmen, aldermen, council, etc. In the same way, Fairfield other commissions and committees fall under the town leader's jurisdiction. This is the standard operating procedures, and for good reason. I will be sending you, everybody, excerpts from the current operating policies and procedures instituted in the 2007 outlining the regulated uses of Fairfield's Fair TV government access channel. These policies and procedures are mirrored in each of the 23 cable TV areas in the state of Connecticut, franchise areas which operate uniformly pursuant of state statute. I will be recommending that Fair TV continue to operate by the same policies and procedures that have served us and the other 23 cable TV franchises so well. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Walk. Does anybody else wish to address the sponsors at this time? Excellent. Thank you very much for all of your work on this. Item number 9, to discuss and refer to the redistricting committee for its consideration any proposed amendments to the proposed redistricting ordinance. As a matter of form, I just want to remind the body, as Representative Piers and Representative Timniak come forward, this body has no jurisdiction to amend the redistricting ordinance. You may, however, collectively vote to refer an amendment to the redistricting committee for its consideration, the wording of which you all received. Representative Timniak, Representative Piers, is there anything you would like to add to the body before I take any proposed amendments? Oh, I forgot we don't have a microphone.
Well, I want to, I'll give the body one more chance to ask questions, and as Pam described about the, how we're going to field amendments, if you're interested in proposing one, we're interested in listening to it.
Would anyone like to bring forward any amendments? Representative Jacob. You'll have to use the microphone up here.
Ellen Jacob, District 9, and you've all heard me in committee and gotten the email, thanks to Pam, our moderator, of what I am going to propose. I'd like to propose it and then just speak very briefly on why I would like to see this done. So should I explanation first, or the okay. All right. I would like to make a motion to refer to the redistricting committee for its consideration an amendment to the redistricting ordinance that would increase the number of reps to 5 reps per district from the 4 reps per district that's currently proposed in the ordinance. And also thank you all. This was a really hard job.
Is there a second? Representative Schindler, is there any discussion on this amendment? Representative Braun.
Oh, I did want to say something.
You know, Representative Jacob wanted to speak, and then I'll go to Representative Braun. I apologize.
Okay. Very, I've said this before, but I really feel these are special circumstances due to the extensive changes that were made, and the fact that some of us, myself included, I've been voting in the same district at the same polling location for 23 years. I don't think I'm the only one in town that's going to be faced with new reps and a new polling place. So I think there is a little bit of, a lot of adjusting that has to be done in a very short period. I did also feel that it was striking when we could actually see where the current reps who are serving now would land in the new districts if they chose to run for re-election. And there is some of them are very crowded with current reps, like District 2, and some of them have only one of our current reps. So I do think there's going to be a lot of upheaval and rethinking, resetting for our voters. And our voters, we don't want to discourage their voting. We want to grow voting in this town. So I do think we need more coverage for this special situation. And that's why I'm asking that we go back to the 5 representative per district scheme. So thank you.
Thank you. Representative Braun.
Kathy Braun, District 8. I support the amendment, and I ask that the redistricting committee entertain it seriously. I think the change in the districts alone are significant and huge, and to also reduce the number of representatives is too big of a change to be done right now. Secondly, I've heard many, many reasons on both sides. But, and one of them has to do with efficiency and, it'll make all the representatives more accountable. I think every member of this body is very accountable, and we all work very hard. By reducing it to 40, it will be that much harder to reach out to our constituents and respond to requests for assistance. And many people do get out there, they roll their sleeves up, they help their constituents, and they do it ongoing. I think it would be much more difficult to be able to provide that level of service and support to our constituents with only 4 members per district. So for those reasons, I believe that's much more important than what has been touted as an improvement in efficiency and perhaps an improvement in this body. I think we have very good turnout in this body, and I applaud everybody here for working hard. It's going to be harder to get all the volunteer people that come here to also do all the extra work that we do to help our constituents. So I support it. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion? Representative Schindler, then Representative Way.
Representative Schindler, District 2. I'd like to thank the members of this committee for bringing forward this new map, this new redistricting map in a timely fashion. So we have opportunity to really look at it, see it, look through the whole ordinance. So thank you for that. On this particular amendment, I do agree with it. I think that Liberty is best served when more people are represented and more people are representing those that are represented. And I think if we have too small of a number, and 40 may be a fine number. Who's to say what's too small, what's too large? But I do believe that Liberty is best served when it's in the hands of more representatives than less representatives. So that's why I'm supporting this today. Thank you.
Carol Way, District 5. I support this. I just was looking at the numbers tonight with 50, and we have people who travel. We have people who aren't able to be at every meeting. Tonight there were 9 people absent. If we were to take it to 40 people rather than 50, and we had that same number absent, we would have been voting on some very critical issues for the town with 31 people. So I really think that it is important to keep the number at 5. I think that the body works efficiently enough, and I do think that it is important to have 5 representatives in each of the districts.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who wishes to address this amendment? Seeing no one, I'll move to the public, of which there's no one. With the exception of Ms. Riley, I'm so sorry. You're back in the back corner. I didn't see you. I apologize. Can we do a voice on this? CNN, sorry. Oh, C-SPAN, sorry. All right. Can we try a roll call vote? I've somebody asked for it. So roll call vote on this amendment, please.
John Donovan?
Abstain?
Michael Hurley?
No.
Gail Meyer?
No.
Eric Sundman?
No.
Nathaniel Schindler?
Yes.
Jeff Steele?
No.
Ed Bateson?
No.
Laura Devlin?
Abstain.
Hank Behrens?
No.
Dave McKenzie?
Abstain.
Mary McCullough? Heather Dean?
No.
Joe DiMartino?
No.
Joe Palmer?
No.
Cindy Waldron?
No.
Josh Garskoff?
No.
Lauren O'Brien?
Yes.
Carol Way?
Yes.
Julie Gottlieb? Alan Marks?
No.
Sheila Marmion? No. Jay Walk? No. Liz Ezema? No. Jen Hochberg? Yes. Kevin Hopkins? Yes. Eric Newman?
No.
Phil Pierce?
No.
Hal Schwartz?
No.
Kathy Braun?
Yes.
Alex Durrell?
No.
Tom McCarthy?
No.
Jeff Milrano?
Yes.
Pamela Iacono?
No.
Ellen Jacob?
Yes.
Laura McCardle?
No.
Carol Pontrelli?
Yes.
Chris Timniak?
No.
Brian Cafarelli?
Abstain.
Brian Farnan?
No.
Bill Perugini?
No.
Bruce Ryan?
Yes.
Joe DiMartino?
Yes.
Julie Gottlieb? Jen Hochberg?
No.
Fails 11, 26, 4.
Motion fails 11-26-4. Are there any other amendments that anyone would like to bring forward? All right, excellent. Thank you very much. Just as a matter of information, the redistricting committee is meeting this Wednesday at 5:30 to formally vote on the meets and bounds. As soon as those are approved, we will get those into your hands so that you will have them with enough time to vote on this item at the end of January. You guys, we're not done. I want to hear myself speak more. Item number 10, the moderator has referred the following amendment, 95, 15.4 of the Town Code to the Legislative and Administrative Committee under Rule 32 of the RTM Rules to Regulate. At its first regularly scheduled meeting in January, strike 2014, add 2016. The RTM meeting the representative town meeting shall convene a special committee to review Article Town of Fairfield, Connecticut, tax relief for elderly and disabled homeowners of Chapter 95, tax relief for elderly and disabled homeowners. This is going to go to all committees in January, and we will vote on this item in January. The moderator has referred an alternate side of the street parking restriction ordinance to the Legislative and Administrative Committee under Rule 32 of the RTM Rules to Regulate. And the final item on the agenda this evening before we adjourn, to consider and act upon any other matters presented to said meeting at which may be properly acted upon under the rules of the representative town meeting. Seeing none, may I have a motion to adjourn. Moved by Representative Dean, seconded by Representative Caffarelli. We are stand adjourned. Merry Christmas and happy holidays.